What's up, everyone? My name is Spencer Mark. This is Jackson Clyde, and this is Sean Cabb, and welcome to Season 3 of The Spectrum Show, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right, everyone. We're finally back with what is hopefully our biggest season yet. With more reviews, more live content, and more surprises yet to be revealed, The Spectrum Show will now be bigger, better, and more diverse than ever before.
Indeed, and to kick things off properly, we've got a two-part episode with a real solid lineup of content. Specifically, we have Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, Sony's 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, and Marvel Television's Wonder Man.
Also, before we get started, I want to let you guys know that you actually won't be seeing me as much this season, as hopefully we'll be getting some new cast members soon, and I want them to have their moment to shine. So that being said, we're going to get ready for our first discussion, so don't go anywhere. Jackson and Sean will be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. We're the cast of The Spectrum Show. And for our first discussion of Season 3, we'll be discussing a film that actually came out at the end of last year, but we still wanted to cover, I believe I was the one that insisted we do this.
This would be Wake Up Dead Man.
A Knives Out mystery, the third Knives Out film, and there's hopefully more to come. So what are your spectrum of opinions on this film?
I really enjoyed it. I'm a writer for the Knives Out Benoit Blanc mystery series.
It's a real shame that this might not qualify for our nominees for Spectrum Awards this year, because it technically was end of last year, but this was really excellent.
Yeah, no, it's a really good. So in this movie, we have, every Knives Out, Benoit Blanc mystery follows Benoit Blanc and some, the movie's designated main character. In this case, it's Father Judd, a priest who has been a former boxer who has been reassigned to a small local congregation led
he's
by...
He's got this violent past, and he's trying to overcome it.
And he's serving under Monsignor Jefferson Wicks, a very bigoted, very conservative pastor who is just who has a very strong inner circle of broken people who look to him for guidance and reassurance. And
this is spoiler territory now. We're going into spoilers.
But when Wicks turns up dead and, Father Judd, who had beef with him, ends up being the prime suspect, it's up to Benoit Blanc to sort out what's really going on, especially when it seems like there might be a supernatural twist to the whole thing.
I really like how Benoit Blanc's look is distinctly off in this movie compared to the first two.
What, with the long, disheveled hair?
Yeah, and kind of the stubble he's got going on,
Yeah.
He looks different in this, and it's actually a pretty fun choice for him.
I mean, he does have a more confrontational role in this movie with the protagonist. Father Judd is very adamant about what religion means to him and other people and how it helps them get through, whereas Blanc has, understandably been sort of shortchanged by religion in his experience, so he has some, misgivings about the whole enterprise.
Judd is Josh O'Connor, right?
Yes,
yeah.
I think.
I really enjoyed his performance in this. He's probably my favorite of the leads for these movies. I quite like the leads in all of them, but I think he's my favorite.
Especially since he directly challenges Blanc in a lot of ways.
It feels like the natural evolution of the character they've been running with,
There was another reviewer, Bob Chipman, I think, who said something along the lines of, the central gimmick with the mystery here is that Benoit Blanc doesn't get to have fun with it.
Yeah.
And he's continually frustrated by that. And yeah, I feel like that's kind of the angle they're going for
up into the ending where he just completely snaps.
Yeah, but even at the ending, he has to kind of let go of him getting the big denouement and let Judd give the perpetrator absolution and let her confess.
Speaking of about that perpetrator, Glenn Close is really good in this.
Yeah, Glenn Close, and she plays a very layered character who you're probably gonna hate on your first watch through, but once you've really gotten a really, really good sense of what she's all about, she's incredibly sympathetic, and it's a great line she rides. Mila Kunis plays a detective chief.
Yeah, sheriff, basically.
Local sheriff, who's also really good. The supporting players aren't as prominent this time.
There is one of them who gets some of my favorite scenes of the movie, though, because he's so awful.
Yeah, no, like a lot of them are actually on a relative scale fairly sympathetic, especially compared to some of the absolute monsters that like have made up this supporting ensembles in these. But yeah, they're still pretty bad.
Yeah. My favorites I think are the Hack Offer and the
Psy.
and Sky, yeah.
No, it's Psy.
And
C-Y.
Psy. I really like Psy.
He's so terrible.
He's so awful. His actor sells it so well. I hate him.
And yeah, no, there is actually like a lot going on here in terms of like, you know, as you're watching, you're kind of wondering how can it not be all supernatural? But the solution they come up with actually does make a lot of sense in the end.
It's a really solid like final deduction scene.
Final revelation.
Yeah, I do
scene.
like that Josh O'Connor gets to be like the driving force in it, essentially. You know?
Yeah, it's a really fun time, and you know it is the heaviest of these movies. Like I was surprised going into it that it didn't have a lot of the funny ha-has that I was expecting.
It is really funny when it wants to be, like I said.
Obviously, like
the Rebels.
Yeah, no, Rian Johnson is still clearly not letting Star Wars go to some extent.
And we're all the better for it, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, this is a fairly straightforward example too. Like it's just a straightforwardly good 9 out of 10 movie.
I think my what was I about to say about it again?
What your one misgiving?
No, not one misgiving. It was something else. It was something like I wanted to specifically highlight.
You'll remember it in the car.
I'll probably remember it in the car, but yeah, really good movie. The thing I wanted to say, the last thing I did want to say, I feel like this movie came out at honestly a really good time.
Yeah, no, like
the current world around, like especially because the movie's entire thing is religion has been used so often as a tool for like people to spread hate and
not just spread hate, but like turn inwards to
turn inwards.
Like that's like the main that's like the overarching like main conflict of it. Judd wants to bring love out into the world rather than like retreat from it into a sort of spiral of just like, you know,
a spiral
isolation
of hate
and hate.
Misery, yeah.
A spiral of isolation and hate.
Whereas Wix is essentially using that spiral to keep the few people who actually can stand being around him in his inner circle.
Yeah, no, he does Christ did in his words, Christ did not go out to fight the world, he came out to bring the world around to love.
Yeah. Well, in Judd's words.
Yeah, in Judd's words, yeah.
And I really appreciate that this movie takes that kind of stance on religion, especially in the current state of things. Like, we need people to like acknowledge that like religion has been used so often for horrible things, but there is an undeniable power to it and how it is able to help us through the darkest times of our lives. And we shouldn't let people who plan to use it for their own ends and to spread hate.
Don't let it dominate. Don't let it isolate you. Don't let it turn you off from different perspectives or the outside world. Like, spread the love.
Exactly.
And I think that's very
extra fits with Judd's character. Like, he's someone who went through a lot of like bad stuff in his past.
The line that
someone who's like working for forgiveness every day.
The line that keeps coming back to me is when he says, "I didn't turn to God to absolve myself. God loves me when I'm guilty."
That's a really good line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he sees his duty as like essentially spreading God's word in the way he wants it to be spread.
It isn't about being pure. It's about being human.
Yeah, it's about being human and knowing that you
have value.
You can be forgiven for what
forgiven.
You can be forgiven. You can see yourself as someone worth loving again.
Yeah,
and it's great that, and I really like how they handle it with Judd.
And yeah, 9 out of 10 movie.
It's a really good movie. Yeah.
Not much else to say. All right.
But yeah, we also recommend you watch the first 2 Knives Out movies,
Great
of course.
movies.
This is a great trilogy, and I'm really excited to see what Rian Johnson has in store next.
All right.
You think the next one's going to be on like a boat?
Honestly, I wouldn't. Maybe like a cruise airliner, like luxury airliner.
Oh, like that Archer episode. It needs to be on like an old-fashioned blimp. Like
I was thinking like the second case of Ace Attorney Investigations. Anyway, don't go anywhere.
Fair, but like I'd love one with like on that cool blimp from Archer. That'd be a really good
no,
setting.
it's what was like. What was the specific? It was a specific terminology that guy used. I'm not going to say. Anyway, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We're the cast of The Spectrum Show, and as you can see, Donnie has joined us on camera once again.
That's right, Sean. For our next discussion, we'll be discussing Sony's recent horror sequel, 28 years later, The Bone Temple. So, Sean, what's your Spectrum opinions on this film?
I enjoyed it. Not quite as much as the first one. This one, I think, like the first one was a very, very tight coming-of-age story about, let's get into the plot of the first movie and this one, just as a preamble.
We don't need to go over the other 28.
Well, no. Like this is like these movies are fairly standalone. Like until the ending of this one, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But
spoilers incoming.
28 years later, takes place, shocker, 28 years after the last couple of 28 days, 28 weeks.
Stay tuned for 28 decades later.
They were going to do 28 months at one point, but they figured it'd been long enough, they might as well just make it 28 years. The first one was, I think it was Danny Boyle who directed the first one.
And he did 28 years as well.
Yeah, and this one is directed by Nia DaCosta. The first 28 years followed a community of survivors. Spike was a young boy who was coming into his own as a hunter and forager for his village. But when he finds out when his mother's sickness worsens, he takes her out to find a doctor that his dad played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, told him about. At the end of that movie, he realizes he can't save her and accepts her death, and with the help of Ray Fiennes, and decides to set out on his own, but finds himself saved by
the Jimmies.
The back-flipping gang of Jimmy Savile impersonators. And if you know who Jimmy Savile is,
look it up. It's not appropriate for this.
It's a pretty heavy topic, but they are leaning pretty heavily into visually referencing him for this new band of baddies. And Spike basically finds himself kind of forcibly inducted into their group. Meanwhile, Ray Fiennes is finding out that maybe the infection, like the rage virus that, makes everyone zombies in this setting, maybe it isn't so permanent after all. And he eventually ends up butting heads with Jimmy Prime, played by Jack O'Connell, who you may know from Sinners.
And a lot of stuff this year.
And my thing with this is, I like it, but in the first movie, it had a very focused, very
coming-of-age story,
very present coming-of-age story themed around, Spike's relationship with death, coming to terms with his mother's death, respecting nature and the world around him, realizing that he doesn't that being a strong man doesn't mean being the best at doing violence, etc., etc. And here, the theming is looser. There is still something to be said about the theme of, the Jimmies are bad news and just, not tolerating their presence regardless of how much power they have. And that does have, I think, real-world parallels with, bad actors like the real-world Jimmy Savile. But, that's fairly indirect, and it's also maybe banking on the idea that you know who Jimmy Savile is and what he did. Again, not a nice guy, but, my point is that it's indirect. Your take?
Yeah, fair enough. It is a little bit jarring because he was the main character in the last movie, and here he's more of a side character.
Spike does not talk a lot here.
Yeah, Ray Fiennes takes on more of the protagonist role.
Which I'm fine with that. I'm fine with this sort of being each entry in this, what's apparently going to be a trilogy, has its own focal point.
Yeah, I did like the angle they took. In the original movie, they made him out to be more of a Kurtz character, like an Apocalypse Now, Heart of Darkness character, but then once you learned who he was, he's actually a pretty chill guy.
He's a really great guy. Yeah. And, I really like the relationship he has with, his, Ray, his zombie friend, Samson.
Yeah, Samson, yes.
Yeah, no, even though like a lot of it is nonverbal and a lot of it is him just kind of talking at Samson, there's a real tenderness to it.
Yeah, like you read, despite like literally ripping people's skulls out of their sockets, like you do sense that he's doing it because of the rage virus, and there is a sense of his old self that is still in there trying to get through.
Yeah, and they do a really good job with that, and when the conflict does come to a head later in the movie, there's a really great scene involving Iron Maiden and basically
Oh yeah,
that you kind of has to be seen to be believed.
pretty insane, unforgettable. Yeah, I will say.
Yeah, no, and like this one has a lot more spectacle violence, which honestly is kind of to be expected after what we saw at the end of the first 28 years. I know a lot of people who still really don't like how the first 28 years ended.
I mean, it's pretty goofy. They make the end of the first movie makes the Jimmies out to be very goofy, and this movie they're freaking psychotic.
Yeah.
Especially the main guy.
I mean, I feel like there was some minor theming, maybe like thematic foreshadowing with the Power Rangers figure. I still won't let them live it down that like the 28 days happens in like the early 2000s, but for some reason there's like a fairly decent looking Power Rangers Operation Overdrive figure. That thing premiered in like 2007 or something.
Yeah, and then the last movie...
The show premiered in the show it was based on from Japan. Bokenger was in 2006. I don't know. Like the point is, if it was 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, it doesn't matter. It was still too late for them to get those action figures. Continuity error.
Also, the fact that in the last movie they had smartphones.
Yeah, though, I still really like this one. Nia DaCosta gets some really great visuals on screen.
Oh man, when like the Radiohead dropped like in the speakers, like with like the stars in the Bone Temple, like that hit different, I will say.
Yeah, and okay, getting into spoilers for a bit here. The ending for this, as we mentioned, the first movie is Spike's movie, the second movie is Ray Fiennes' movie, and it looks like if the post credits are, is it right before the credits? I don't remember exactly.
I forget.
Either way, like the final scene is basically implying, okay, Cillian Murphy is back.
Cillian's back.
He was in the previous movies and the main character, and now it looks like the third movie is kind of gonna bring that full circle with him.
And if there is a third movie.
Hopefully. I think they said they're planning on.
I mean, it's not doing well in the box office, so like, are they just going to keep doing it regardless? I don't know. I hope so. I hope this comes full circle.
I really liked the first 28 years. This one, again, it's still good. It's still a real good movie, but I just feel like if it focused up a bit more on the thematic side, on Spike's end. And Jack O'Connell. Don't get me wrong. Jack O'Connell's just a great screen presence, no matter what. Like. If you saw Sinners, he's like a guy to watch out for. And here he's still really good, but I just need a bit more meat on the bone.
Mm-hmm. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Or pun intended in this case.
Well, no, it wasn't intended. You don't speak for me as to whether or not my pun is intended.
I made it intended.
Okay, so final score. This is like a strong 7 to 8 for me.
Yeah, round that port. I gave it like a 7 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, and. All right. Anything else?
Let's see. What's an iconic quote from the movie that we can end with?
Something, the number of the beast.
Okay, yeah, the number of the beast. Yeah, whatever.
All right, that wraps up Bone Temple. Don't go anywhere, though. When we come back, we've got our first Marvel discussion of the year. Stay tuned, because we're bringing in Wonder Man.